it's your girl AJ Smart, and I'm on the streets of Lagos today. The question for today is: does a plane crash between the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon? Where should the survivors be buried? So, if it was you, what will you tell me? What will be your answer to this question? A plane crash that happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried? So, sit with me while we go on the streets of Lagos. A plane crash happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
A plane crash
In the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
happened between Cameroon and Nigeria. Okay, the people that died for the plane crash.
The survivors that died.
Okay, the survivor died there. Where they're supposed to be buried.
You get it?
Okay.
If you don't get it, forget about it.
They're supposed to bury them for Cameroon, not even Nigeria, because Nigeria not be better country where they're supposed to bury that kind of people.
Why?
Because even though if you bury them for Nigeria, they no go their spirit no go restore it again. They no go come out again.
Chai!
That's the reincarnation. That's what I mean. But if they bury them for Ghana, you know, Ghana na better country more than Nigeria. You understand me?
I say Cameroon. Not
Okay,
Ghana.
okay, Cameroon. Okay, Cameroon no be better na better country more than Nigeria. That's what I mean. Na better country more than Nigeria. They're supposed to bury them there. Because if they bury them for Nigeria, 20 years they no go reincarnate again.
God is God.
That's the best solution. Thank you.
Plane crash
Yes.
happened in the middle
Yes.
of Nigeria and Cameroon. So
That's
the
the
vac-
border. They're about to leave Nigeria to enter, or they are in between the border. Which one?
in the middle.
Okay, in the middle. I don't understand. What do you mean by middle? Middle. Okay, this is Cameroon. This is Nigeria. That's the between the border. They should. Cameroon supposed to return the survivor back to Nigerians because they are Nigerian citizens.
Why?
Because they're Nigerian citizens. No, I'm answering you with as an Igbo boy. Because anywhere an Igbo person die, you must return that corpse to
Chai!
Igbo. Or else the corpse will disturb you. That's Igbo, our own tradition. You understand? Unless maybe the person decide, say whenever I die, people should bury me around. That one is apart. But normally that person must go to his father's land before that person will rest in peace.
Big for nothing. Now to go fight with Angela, where you sabi.
Between Cameroon and Nigeria, the plane crash. It crashed where?
Happened between Nigeria.
Between. It should bury the Nigeria, no?
Survivors should be buried in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's where they're from. So you can't bury them in an man's land. They should come back.
There's a plane crash that happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
Plane crash between Nigeria and Cameroon.
In the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
They should be buried in the border
Why?
because the bodies belong to the both nations. So I think instead of doing anything, they should just bury them in the middle or dies in the border of the both nations.
The plane crash happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. So where should the survivors be buried?
Actually, in that sport, I suggest that they will be buried nearby, in between the two countries for a memorial. That what I mean is that between Cameroon and Nigeria, there must be a particular place for a memorial where they will be buried. They will give them a mass burial just for a memorial indeed.
Now there's a plane crash that happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried? There's a plane crash that happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried? A plane crash happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
That's a hard one. The survivors have to bury. If you get the manifest, then you bury the survivors based on the country they come from. You have to take them back. If they are Cameroonians, take them to their place. Nigerians, take them to their place.
Why should they be buried like that, sir?
Because but this part of the world, Africa, we bury our dead in our places. So there's nothing wrong with that. But assuming you cannot identify them, you look at the land between the two borders, between the two countries at the border, you bury them.
There's a plane crash that happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
Uh, to me, it depends. If the plane have entered Cameroon, the one that has been involved on that accident, I would say they should be buried over there. But if it is the plane is still within Nigeria before Cameroon, I would say they should still be buried in Nigeria.
So the plane was crashed in the middle of both countries.
There's a boundary. There's always a border. So, say that border, it depends. Just like Nigeria and Benin. You understand me? So there's always a border. You understand me? So they should check on their map if the plane is still in Nigeria when the plane crash occur, or is still in Cameroon when the plane crash occur. Any of it at all. So if it happen in Nigeria, it should be buried in Nigeria. If it's happen in Cameroon, it should be buried in Cameroon.
So you're saying the survivors should be buried where exactly, sir?
Survivor. Survivor no need. They are not dead now. If you say survivor, survivor is alive. Abi?
Okay, don't make that mistake.
What are you saying? Is it the dead one or the one that is still alive?
My question is, a plane crash happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
Survivor can never be buried. When you are survivor, so how will you be buried?
Why? Why shouldn't they be buried, sir?
Why would survivor be buried? Someone that a plane crash occur. Survivor, that's people that are still alive that is not dead. So how do you want them to be buried?
There's a plane crash in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
Well, who are in the plane?
Nigerians.
In the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. It's Nigeria now.
They should be buried in Nigeria. Why?
Because it's Nigeria that are inside the plane, right? So why would they be buried in Cameroon? They should be buried in their homeland. That's my idea.
There's a plane crash that happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
Nigeria now,
Why?
because Nigeria have no fans. We have no fans here. You can do anything you like in Nigeria and go free.
But the plane crash happened in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon.
The issue is that why I say so, because of if the country where we call Nigeria is balanced, I don't think there is be any plane crash or something like that. Understand? So this Nigeria now we are seeing now, some people have hijacked Nigeria, keep it by themselves. So poor masses where they inside in Nigeria, they have been struggling every day of their life. So may God have mercy for us for this country. That is the only thing I see.
All right, sir, there's a plane crash in the middle of Nigeria. There's a plane crash in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should survivors be buried?
If I got you right, there's a plane crash between the middle,
In the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon.
in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon.
So where should the survivors be buried?
Nigeria, of course.
Why?
Because he said in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. So
it can be a border. So if it's a border, it means that the plane has already crossed any of the borders. So for you to say middle of Nigeria first, it means that the plane is still in Nigeria. So they should be buried in Nigeria.
The plane crash in the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
There is a plane crash.
In the middle of Nigeria and Cameroon. Where should the survivors be buried?
Be buried. Cameroon.
Oh my days, irú ọmọ wo wá rèé nítorí Ọlọ́run.
Why?
Because they've not reached Nigeria. So they are still, like, they've not crossed the border to Nigeria. So they have to be buried in Cameroon.
Welcome back, guys. I had a lot of fun asking questions, and I actually learned a lot, a whole lot. Anyways, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and keep watching Phoenix TV. I still remain your girl, AJ Smart. Bye for now.